I want to share the best advice I've ever received in my whole life. It's only 4 words. Be quiet and pay attention. I was walking outside a few years ago, and I asked for wisdom. And, I kind of just, it was like kind of immediate. Be quiet, pay attention. And it wasn't like an audible sound, and I've never really heard, prior to that at least, I never felt like I heard the Spirit speak or anything like that. And that was the clearest time I've ever had. I've not had any time since where it felt more clear than that time. And, I was working on writing a book, like a novel, and I've been writing a lot of poetry, and I've been, I know, well, it wasn't the words I was wanting to hear in a roundabout way. I was wanting to write a book and, maybe become a famous author or something like that. So be quiet, pay attention to me. Like, I felt almost immediately it was, also quit writing for, at least for a while. But be quiet and pay attention. I've been someone who's been, for most of my life, very prideful. And I'm not saying I'm all over it, of course, because, kind of self-contradictory there. But I have learned to listen to other people better. Because the thing is, I used to think that I just knew, I was so confident in all my opinions. I was a preacher's kid in the Church of Christ. I thought we were the one true church and everyone else was going to hell. And, basically all these other religions were, demonic distractions from the one true church, which is the Church of Christ. And so I didn't really listen to people, but I've learned to listen more after finding I was wrong about a number of things, and I won't get into that. And I've had a number of times where, wow, it sounds like the Spirit speaking through that person. It's been very interesting. I really feel like my life is kind of turned upside down. It feels really strange to kind of feel like you need to kind of ask questions about almost everything you've ever known, which is kind of how it's felt. But one other little note on that kind of like, I guess you might say it's a bit of a corollary that or something I found after trying to be quiet and stop doing too much writing and stuff like that is, when I stopped doing that, I was quiet and paid attention, I realized, oh yeah, my family needs me. And there was a number of changes that we ended up making, including moving out of the city and moving into the woods and stuff like that, which for our kids is good. That was kind of the outcome of paying attention a little bit. I noticed that one of my son's therapies were doing very little good, and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into the details, but one thing that I've noticed is, it's on the topic of art. People talk about art and, this movie is art, or this movie is not art, it's just entertainment. And I think there's stuff to that, but, people seem to have this high status of art, and And I've liked the idea of becoming like a famous writer or painter or whatever. And I've felt the siren's call, so to speak, of becoming famous and that sort of stuff. But like I noticed a lot of it was really from pride. But there's all kinds of art. And I think that the really good art comes when you're not doing it to please other people. You know, you're doing it because you want to. And just an important thing to note, I mean, I think that, God is an artist. He's the artist, and we are the art. We are God's art. And recursively, because we are of God, we are God's kids, we're artists too. And so I think doing art is like super, super important. But I just want to really clarify, art is not just painting and like doing music and like, writing and stuff like that. And when I paused on doing this novel I was writing, slight tangent, but I started, as I was writing it, like things in the novel started happening in the real world, and I started to feel like, oh, I feel like the character in my story. I feel like I'm writing my story, and oh wait, I kind of am like a character in a story. I've got this avatar body that I'm able to walk around in this setting, and I'm living a story, and so I felt like, well, I want to put more attention and energy into making this story beautiful and more the way I want it to be. So it kind of took away a lot of my motivation to write a novel. And, I'm not saying I never will, but it's like, this is the art of living is, I think, the highest form of life. And, the canvases that you paint on are one type, but canvases of people, the energy you put into other people and stuff like that, I think is the highest form of art. And that's the real art. And there's a lot of fake art out there, and where people are just trying to become popular or, whatever. But definitely don't ignore the art of living for any lower medium of art. And it really is art that we're living in. It's a beautiful work of art. And be quiet and pay attention to it.